guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So here for another one of our mass making workshops, and today we're going to be working with fabric. We're going to be making some fabric paper clips. So I think mention this at the end of the last video, so hopefully people have got fabrics with them and will be able to kind of craft along. So what you're going to need if you want to be joining in and making some bits and pieces, or some paper clips anyway, you're going to need some paper clips. Now I've bought along some of these kind of what I would call medium size paper clips, and I've also bought some of the smallish paper clips along. I've got a giant paper clip here. I have never used a giant one to make fabric paper clips, so I don't know whether I'll end up using this or not, but you could bring along a variety of paper clips. And then obviously if you bring along a whole bunch of fabric scraps, they do not have to be very big pieces of fabric, obviously, because the paper clips are very small. And then laces and any kind of trims and bling and just some nice little bits and pieces that you might want to actually decorate your paper clips up with. If you just bring all of that along, and then you can kind of decide as you're working what things you want to use and what you don't really. And I'm going to use my 3-in-1 glue. It's kind of like Fabri-Tac, so that's what I'm going to be using, obviously, to be gluing mine down. I have seen people stitch these. I have stitched, I think, once or twice myself, but obviously my sewing machine is not here, so I won't be stitching mine. I will just be gluing mine. So let's dive in and get started straight away. So I really like velvet for my paper clips. I've made quite a few before in velvet, and this, I mean, I don't know whether this is what you'd term as velvet really, but I call it velvet. I find it quite handy to get from shops, when they have the fabric samples for like sofas and chairs and things like that, because they just give you these tiny pieces and they're just perfect for making this kind of embellishment. So if you can get hold of any fabric or velvet samples, from some furniture shops, then all the better, because obviously you won't have to actually buy it. I've now ruined that paper clip already before I've started, so that's not a very good start. So I'm just going to have a look here and just see whether I can get 2 paper clips out of this that way on, and I think I can. So I'm just going to trim that down here like that, and again I'm just going to trim it down here, just getting rid of that little tatty piece that obviously I've used somewhere along the line for something else. Tempting to keep that, but I'm just getting ridiculous if I just keep things that big, so I'm going to bin it. I mean, actually, now let me just grab it back. Just thought, oh, might that be good for a tiny paper clip? Oh, it might be. Oh, it didn't make it to the bin after all. You see, just saved. Just as it went in, it came back out. So just get your piece of fabric, and then you're just going to thread it. My paper clips are all literally together. Oh, this is going to be really annoying if they're all going to be like this throughout the whole episode. Right, okay. So all you're going to do, let me just check that I'm in frame and filming. Just suddenly had this horrible thought that I perhaps wasn't. Okay. So you're just going to pop that onto your paper clip like that. Okay. Now up to you how far you pull your back piece through. I'm going to just put it kind of about there. Then I'm just going to sort of neaten up that back piece, not really for any reason, because no one's really going to be seeing that. Well, I mean, they will if they peel the paper clip up, but I mean, hopefully no one's going to be doing that too much, because obviously you want to look at the nice side. And then all I'm going to do is glue that down with my Fabri-Tac, like that. So essentially that is, your fabric paper clip. So it's just a bit like the banner paper clips that we did with paper, only this time you're using fabric. And then with the other mass makes, I've obviously left them blank and said, you know, I'm going to decorate them up as and when I use them. But with the paper clips, I'm going to actually decorate them up as I go, because I feel that they're not so much needing to match, if that makes sense, because they're just really effectively fabric. So they don't, you know, they don't have kind of a style of their own as such. Now, I make mine really simple because that's me. Just, you know, I like to make things nice and easy. I don't like anything that's very complicated. So I'm just going to pop on a little bit of lace across the top, like that. Snip that off at the edge, like that. And then probably just finish that off with just like a little bit of bling. Not sure as I like that colour bling on there. Let me see, is this, oh no, that's not right either. Oh gosh, this is where I now discover I've got none that's going to go with what I'm making. Now where's all my black? Right, hold on a second. I think I've got it here in my packet to the side. I mean, like with all these things, you think you've come along with everything that you need, and then the second that I get started, no, I find I've not got everything I needed. Oh, wow, would you believe it? I don't have my... Oh, I've got one piece floating in there. So I can use that. Or we could have some pearl. Let's just see what the pearl looks like. Because weirdly, although the black was what I was hunting for, as I popped that on there, I thought, oh, actually, I think maybe I would prefer the pearls on there. Yeah, I do. So I'm just going to pop the pearly trim on there, like that. So when I say that some people stitch theirs, and I have stitched literally, I mean, I'm talking a handful of these because, you know, I don't really like doing fiddly things, but you could stitch across just here, you know, just below your paper clip. I mean, personally, I don't think they need stitching. I think they look, you know, perfectly fine glued, but if you want to stitch them, that would be a good place. And the same at the bottom. I mean, actually, I think this has been cut with pinking shears, but obviously it's kind of frayed off. But if you wanted to finish your bottoms with pinking shears or anything, then you could, of course, you know, finish it off like that. So that's my first one. I'm going to pop that to one side. And I'm just going to make another one, obviously using the same fabric, because, you know, then that's kind of that piece all used up. I mean, I know that's not really such an achievement, but... anything that's used up feels like a bit of a milestone, doesn't it, in the realms of how much rubbish that you have when you do crafting a lot. So there we go. And again, I'm just going to trim that back piece down a little bit. I mean, there's no need to do that. I'm just trying to cut down, I guess, on how much bulk there is, but you know, it's not an essential thing to do. So again, just pop the glue on there like that and just glue that down. Okay, and then could mix it up. We could have some different lace on there. I've got this black lace here. Oops. Oh, that's a bit big for that. Got this blue. Quite striking, but not necessarily quite matching that. Let me have a look and see what else I've got. I've got some lilac, which could be quite pretty because this is a a sort of violet colour. So I might, I think, go with that. Oops. Let's do that. And okay. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're, you know, having a nice time if you're crafting along with me and making some fabric paper clips. I mean, I really like using this type of paperclip, this style, because as I say, for me, there's no issue about the matching things up because it's just fabric. You know, sometimes I get a little bit hung up on papers matching. Oops, I quite like that with the black. So I'm just going to pop the black on there. I get a bit hung up with papers matching. So for me, you know, having fabric ones is kind of quite a handy thing to have to hand, because I don't then feel the need to be, you know, marrying everything up so much. So that's that. Okay, I'll move that out of the way. So I mean, they're very fast to make, you know, as you can see. And also it's best to make sort of a few either way, so as you've got them to go that way on the page and obviously some for that way, because that's another thing that, you know, it's just odds law that actually you're going to not have the one in the right fabric facing the way that you want it to go. So here I've got just some sort of cotton fabric, which, oh gosh, I've got threads of fabric now stuck all over my fingers, which again, it's nice to have a bunch of different paper clips. So got that one. I mean, you could make it quite a long one, to be honest. There's no reason why you couldn't do that and have that hanging down at the back. But actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tear that, kind of try and fray the edge up a little bit. And then because it's cotton, I'm going to kind of double layer it so it's not quite so flimsy. So we'll just glue that, oops, like that. Just like that. Okie dokie. It's just picking up fluff now from all over the desk. Maybe the velvet wasn't really the one to start with, because obviously that was quite prone to fraying. And then again, you know, you can just kind of finish that off with some lace trim or, oops, whatever takes your fancy. So we've got some lace here. I've got this crochet type lace. No, I think I prefer this. Okay, so we're just going to actually, just before I glue that down, I noticed I've got some other quite thick, but I haven't actually opened this, so that's a bit annoying. Let me just cut this down, hold on. Okay. So we could have that on there instead. Oh, now I'm thinking, I think I preferred it with just the ivory actually. Oh, where's that gone now? Okay, go with your initial choice. So again, just glue that across. So I'm just going to stop talking through what we're doing so much now, because I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, as with everything that I ever do, it's not overly complicated, because I just wouldn't be doing it. So I'll be quiet, because otherwise you'll all just be thinking, oh gosh, you know, yeah, we get the message, we know what you're doing. Right, let's see, do we want pearls or do we want little diamonds? No, I don't like that. Got some pearly trim, or of course you can mix it up and put some flowers on or something like that. So up to you how you do it. You could put buttons on. I mean, again, literally endless possibilities and ideas that you could use. So, you know, have a play, see what things you can come up with. Oh gosh, look, so I pulled my finger away, it just literally came up stuck on me. Just have a play and, you know, do whatever you fancy doing. So I've got this big piece here, so I'm just going to thread this round. Let's go for was going to say let's go for that end, but I've obviously spilt coffee on there, so I have to trim that piece off. Okay. Okay. Yes, I know that I've been saying this for a few weeks now, but I'm really quite liking the whole mass making thing, and definitely I have been using this like elsewhere, you know. In fact, I'm not sure I've even made one of something for ages. I think I've generally, every time I've made something, made more than one now. I'm now getting to the opposite. I'll have to do a series on no more mass making, single making. Oh, the irony of that. So we could have this one here. And again, I'm just going to glue that down. And we could keep this one quite colourless. You know, which that's unusual for me to have colourless things, but I mean, sometimes you just need a bit of colourless stuff. That's kind of a mouthful. So I've got a little flower here. Don't know whether that's quite right, because these flowers are actually quite white, and that's like off-white. No, it looks okay actually. Just make sure I've got it the right way up for the piece. I've actually got some pretty blue here, which we could kind of break it up like that. It's quite pretty, isn't it? Let's do that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't have something colourless, you see. Best laid plans and all that. Okay. So how's everyone getting on with their Christmas shopping? Are you, I don't know, are you done? Are you nearly done? Haven't you started yet? I'm a shocking Christmas shopper. Rubbish. I mean, obviously it probably won't really come as any surprise to anybody really, but yeah, highly disorganised. Kind of leave everything to the last minute. There's something about leaving it to the last minute that I actually quite enjoy in some strange, bizarre way. But yeah, I probably shouldn't leave it quite so much to the last minute as I do. But yeah. I mean, I do envy those people who are just like mega organised. I mean, some people like do it in January, don't they? They're like, oh, I've bought my stuff in the January sales, you know, we're ready for next year. I couldn't do that because I just would never be able to find what I've bought. I know that I'm pretty sure said that before, but yeah, I just would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'd find it about 3 years later. I wouldn't even then remember who I'd originally bought it for, unless it was something blatantly obvious. But yeah, just rubbish. But I kind of quite like the whole last minute rush of Christmas shopping. I don't feel very festive if I've got it out of the way too early. I mean, that's my excuse for my lack of organisation, obviously, but you know, joking aside, I wouldn't find that very festive. I'd feel very unfestive doing it really early. Really would like to use this little piece of lace somewhere because it's super pretty. Oh, perfect. That just happened to be ideal size. So I'm just going to pop that across there. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's kind of nice. The sad thing is, and I am filming these ahead, so I don't know what the situation is going to honestly be this year, but we used to have like late night shopping here in the UK, and let me check I'm filming and in frame. Again, I mean, I've only visited Florida in the States. I haven't been anywhere else in the States, but I do you know, one of the things that I really loved was obviously that the shops, they seem to be open all the time, like really late at night, every night. I think from memory, I don't think they were really kind of closed any night particularly. I think they were open all the time. I mean, obviously not the whole night, but, you know, till quite late, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. Where over here, again, certainly where I live, I'm not saying this is the case everywhere, but certainly where I live, and lots of places that I've visited here, oh, it's rubbish. The shops are closed by like 5:30, which, I mean, that's rubbish, isn't it? I mean, that's the high street shops. To be fair, we've now got these out of town kind of retail places, and they are much better at staying open. So a lot of those are open till like maybe 8 o'clock or whatever. So that's better. And I mean, I say it's better because obviously if you're at work and things like that, or even, you know, if you're buying something for the kids and the kids need to come with you, it's a bit of a rush because, you know, sometimes it would be nice to actually have your dinner and then go to the shops rather than try and cram it in before dinner. Or, you know, sometimes they might be going to a club or something, so you'd like to do, you know, go and look for, say, you know, I don't know, a new pair of school shoes or something after the club. Things like that. You know, so sometimes it's just really inconvenient. And, yeah, I mean, I know it's probably no fun for people working in retail, so there's always kind of two sides to every story, aren't there? But I did really enjoy the shops being open sort of in the malls and things like that when we'd visited Florida. Anyway, I was going with that. Where was I going? So the once a year time when the shops were open kind of later, at Christmas we would have what they called, you know, late night shopping, and that was kind of in the high street or in the shopping malls, and it was just on a Thursday night generally, and the shops would be heaving. So you'd have Christmas lights on, you'd have all these cheap Christmas shops, like pop-up kind of shops selling Christmas not Christmas wallpaper, Christmas wrapping paper, and, you know, so you'd hear all those, you know, naff Christmas songs that, I mean, I say naff Christmas songs, but I absolutely love Christmas songs. So although I'm calling them naff, you know, I love Christmas songs. So, oh, and it felt so festive, and it would be freezing and you'd be kind of darting from one shop to the next, and oh, it was such fun. And it's so sad. Sorry, my hair is now caught on my finger with the glue. And it's so sad because for the last few years, it's been nothing like that. There've been a lot of the shops haven't even bothered opening for late night shopping. And, well, this is where I live. I'm not saying that this is, you know, generally everywhere in the UK, but certainly where I live. I mean, I'm guessing that they found it wasn't worth their while. You know, I don't think that they wouldn't be opening if it was worth their while. But I mean, again, it's kind of that sign of the times, you know, decline of the high street kind of thing going on. And it's just so sad because that was kind of all part of getting ready for Christmas, was all that fun of the late night shopping and the rush and the hustle and bustle, and oh, just really fun. But yeah, I mean, I just feel really sad because I think eventually we won't even have late night shopping at Christmas. And, you know, as I say, I'm filming these ahead. It might even be this year. You know, maybe we won't even have late night shopping this year. I don't know. But I do find that very sad because I feel like it was a really nice part of like Christmas, and now that's gone, and it's just really, really sad. You know, and I just think it's sad, A, for us adults who can obviously remember all the fun of the Christmas shopping, and it's also really sad for all those children who have not seen that Christmas shopping. You know, they didn't even get to experience it in the first place. So, yeah, I think it's a shame. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's pros and cons on everything, aren't there? And, you know, we're so incredibly lucky with the internet. We're so lucky with, I mean, like, for instance, you know, I've said before, YouTube. Oh, my gosh, it's changed our lives, hasn't it? You know, there's nothing that you can't discover how to do on YouTube. I mean, it's just amazing, literally amazing. You know, so I do appreciate that we're so, I thought I'd be clever and put these 2 pieces through, and now I literally cannot put them through. So let me try and glue them together and see whether I have a bit more luck. Yeah, I mean, we are so incredibly lucky in so many ways with technology and things. But there is a kind of sad part to it as well, isn't there? That, you know, things like the Christmas late night shopping traditions, they will be gone. And that's really sad. Really, really sad. So, yeah, I hope it's still there this year. I mean, presumably by the time this video goes up, I will probably know, but certainly at this point, I don't know. But yeah, it would be really sad to think that it was this year already that it had gone, but it may well be. It may well. And that's just, yeah, really sad. Just think, you know, kids are kind of like missing out on quite a lot of fun things that we used to do when we were young. And, you know, don't get me wrong, they obviously have massive benefits as well, don't they? I mean, they have access to some awesome things that we didn't have access to. But now I'm wondering whether I should trim this down, because it's a little bit too narrow for the wide paperclip, but I'm wondering if it's just a little bit too bulky for the small ones. Let's try it. Just cut that down a bit more. Yeah, I think it's a shame, because they just are, you know, not getting to experience some of the more human things that we kind of experienced. But, you know, I'm as guilty as everyone of shopping online and, you know, like we say, you know, using YouTube. I mean, here I am now. So, you know, what can you say, really? You can't kind of say anything to the kids, can you? Because I'm there doing it as well. There we go. Oh, well, managed to do a titchy one after all. So cute. I mean, again, if you watch my channel a lot, you'll know that, you know, me and Titchy, me and Tiny, we just don't really kind of go together that brilliantly. The bigger the better, really, because I'm just not very delicate with my ways. So, you know, this is very delicate for me, but this is probably as delicate as it gets. Did anyone else happen to see Jennifer from A Touch of Sparkle? I mean, I'm super lucky. She's on my design team and she just does the most incredible stuff. She did this lovely, awesome project using these tiny paper clips. Well, they were regular size paper clips, but she was making these tiny paper clips. Oh my gosh, they looked amazing. Literally amazing. They were very, very intricate. She made it look really, really, really easy. I don't think I would be able to pull them off at all, because, wow, they were really fiddly looking. But they looked so pretty. I mean, she does lovely work. Very feminine, very girly stuff she makes. So, yeah, if you haven't checked out her videos, have a look. She's Jennifer, Touch of Sparkle. I think she called them tiny... No, they might have been just simple as tiny paper clips or something like that. And obviously I'm filming this ahead, so it was probably like a month ago or 3 weeks ago, something like that, that she posted the video. Anyway, just gorgeous. So have a look and see if you can find that. If I remember, I will try and link the video. Again, if you watch my channel, you'll know that I have a memory like a sieve, so I'm not promising anything. Right, that's that one that I obviously struggled so very much to get through the paperclip. So I'm going to pull that down slightly so that I can just glue that over. Oh, lost my glue over the edge of the desk there. Come on. Okay. Okay. Oh, that looks so pretty. I mean, that was a little bit fiddly for me, but really pretty and kind of worth it, I think, because it turned out lovely. I'm just going to cut this edge bit off because, as you can see, it's just got a bit too much of a frayed bit, but now I've got it the other end instead. There we go. Well, it wasn't too frayed, it was just it wasn't lining up. That looks better now. Okay, do we want some lace going across there as well? So, I mean, this is a brilliant way to use up really tiny little bits of lace and things from your stash. So if you're anything like me, you know, you'll have kind of lots of little bits like this just laying around, which, I mean, obviously I don't throw them out, but I kind of probably should. But this is a fantastic way to just use them up because, you know, you really can use pretty much every single bit on these, oh gosh, on these types of things. So I just cut that there. I also did bring some little flowers. So, you know, you can mix your pieces up there. I mean, the only thing is with doing that, you see, to me, that just makes that potentially unusable in a project because I don't necessarily know whether what I'm making is going to have the bright pink, and I've got pink here, but you know, so I will probably leave that, and then when I come to use it, I could always then add things like that later. So it's kind of semi decorated. So I'll just pop these couple of pearls on. Yeah, just a sort of semi-decorated piece that then you can always add things to should you need to. Oops, should you need to. Oh gosh, no. Okay, I should probably go and wash my hands to get all that glue off so that I don't keep having things stuck on me, but oh, I won't bother. Let's just plough on. So I've got this gorgeous fabric here. This was from some bunting, which, I mean, I used this in my actual junk journal series. My sister had gifted this to me. She had had this bunting at her wedding. So there's like loads of it. And, you know, obviously she didn't really know what to do with it. So she said, oh, you might like these bits. Yes, I would love those bits. So I grabbed those and making my way through it slowly. Now, is that going to be too wide for that? Which again, I've got this blue here. So we could try and do a similar thing to what we did with that other one just now. And have it like side by side with some blue lace. So let's try and do that. Oops. I'll just straighten that out. So, you know, again, I mean, like with all of these mass makes, just going to clean the nozzle of my glue a bit and hopefully that might help. Like with all these mass makes, just honestly have a play and you know, see what you can come up with just by mixing your fabrics, mixing your trims. No rules, just go with what you fancy at the time because anything goes. Okay, so I'm just going to trim the lace piece down like that. I'll just leave that to sort of dry for a couple of moments. What else have I got? So I've got some of this gorgeous fabric that Laura had gifted me. So again, what I'll do is just cut a strip down from that. Oops, I think that's a little bit on the wide side now. Yeah, just only a tiny bit actually too wide. I thought it was huge, but not too bad. And I can just cut that there. Okay, just going to do this edge as well because it is a little bit wide. just thread that on. Oops. Oh, come on. Yeah, so I would say that these are sort of semi-decorated. I mean, some I would leave exactly as they are. I love those velvet and lace ones. I think they're just gorgeous exactly as they are. But some, you know, when I come to use them, I could maybe add like some paper flowers or something like that to them to just embellish them slightly more. But just honestly play around and see what takes your fancy. And as I say, I mean, buttons, they'd be cute. Anything you like. I mean, this one, for instance, I just pull in my little jar of flowers. Oops. Oh, I just saw a flower that I thought, oh, there's one, just the right colour. And the more I'm pushing, or, you know, the more I'm rummaging in the jar, the more I'm pushing it down. See that pink flower, to me that just really goes nicely with that. So we can pop that on, and maybe with a bit of blue lace or something. That's quite pretty, isn't it? Or I've got this teeny bit of blue left. Oh, that might be better actually. It's just kind of a bit finer, a bit more delicate. So just pop that on. Yeah, I mean, brilliant way to use up scraps, to be honest. I don't know why I haven't really mass made these before. I have made a few of them in advance, if you see what I mean. I've, you know, got a handful of them, which I make from time to time, but I haven't actually sat and kind of pulled out a bunch of fabrics and specifically made made a bunch of these, which now I'm just like, why haven't I done that? Because what a fun thing to do. There we go. And they're really quick. So not only quite fun, not only using up a whole bunch of fabrics and lace and what have you, but they're also quite fun to make. There we go. Just thread that through. So definitely gluing those together made them definitely, well, they've gone from not being able to get them over the paperclip to being able to get them over the paperclip. So completely improved. And again, I'm just going to now glue that lace trim just down the whole length of that fabric, just to kind of keep that in place, really. So like that. Don't have to do that, but you know, I just found that sort of helpful. And again, I might just finish that off with a little bit of lace trim at the top. Like that. Got that. And then this, I'm feeling again maybe the pearly ones, or I have got some blue flowers, which again I'd kind of bought these thinking they might be quite good for this. But now, do I want to do that? Because then I'm committed to the blue, but it does look really pretty, doesn't it? So I'm going to go for that. So we'll just pop that blue flower on there. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Let's check. I can't see now what time I'm up to. Hold on. I can't really see. I think it says 39 minutes. Okay, so let's do another one with this white kind of lace. And I mean, again, you know, you could obviously ink this lace, you could coffee dye it, you know, endless possibilities of what you could do with this. Oops. Oh, I've not got that hooked through now. Come on. Just hook that on like that, and then again just glue that down. So I'm just going to pull that slightly. Slightly, yep, okay. And then I wonder whether I can just mix this up a little bit with this more fancy looking. No, that's not quite right, but maybe this. So I've got like coffee and, no, I don't like that either. I've got some, oh, I've got this royal blue. Nah, no, 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 no. Got this turquoisey blue. This is that same lace as this, but this is some that I have dyed with, I think it was Dilutions. It was a really long time ago, so I can't really remember, but I think it was Dilutions. And, oh, I might just use the lilac, you know, that looks quite pretty. Yeah, and it just turned out so lovely, and actually it's lasted me ages and ages and ages. I mean, I don't think I did that much of it, but I've obviously strung it out and strung it out and strung it out, and I keep saying, oh, I've hardly got any left, but then I just kind of find some more of it, you know, sort of in a bag or something. So I obviously must have dyed quite a bit of it, but I didn't, you know, I don't remember doing that much, but obviously more than I thought. So let's just cut off a few more pearls. Yeah, just I love the colours of this. It's, you know, got some darker bits with some lighter bits, and I should really do some more. Okay. Oh gosh, look, just pulling this up. Oh, come on. There we go. Yep, so my daughter hasn't obviously written her Christmas letter yet. My sons, obviously, they just voice aloud and hope that Santa is going to somehow get the message sent to him. Yeah, I don't know what she's going to ask for, actually. I mean, she did cut a load of wool, funnily enough, several weeks ago, and put them in a little paper pouch, you know, kind of her version of crafting, and has already put them by the fireplace for Santa. And actually I keep thinking I must get them and pick them up, because obviously, you know, they don't look that great. But yeah, she obviously wanted to put them there, down, ready for his visit. Let's use this. This is gorgeous, isn't it? I think I did a couple of fabric envelopes with this. It was gifted to me by Laura, so thank you, Laura. Just really pretty colours. Really lovely. I can't remember whether I made some fabric ruffles in this as well, actually. Yeah, so she's obviously, you know, she's awaiting his arrival, but she's not started saying yet what she'd like for Christmas. So who knows what she's going to come out with. And again, actually, that was another thing. I can remember as a child looking through catalogues. And, oh, what dangerous things they were, because obviously they had a whole section at the back of the catalogue. But they're full of toys. So I can remember looking through those catalogues and constantly, you know, oh, mum, you know, can I have this for Christmas? Can I have that for Christmas? And, you know, I mean, obviously the next time you look through the catalogue, you can even remember what you'd actually asked for in the first place. So, you know, they were very, what you stumbled upon at the time was what you were then saying you wanted for Christmas. But yeah, I can remember going through them. And actually now, I mean, you know, we don't have any catalogues in the house. I think there are still catalogues. I know that we have a shop here called Argos, and they used to have a catalogue as well, which again, the same thing, had a massive section at the back full of toys. They are still about, but I don't know whether they still do a catalogue or whether just everything is just online now. I mean, they're a really useful shop, and you know, they're really handy when it comes to Christmas. because they sell pretty much everything. But definitely, I mean, I tend to now look online and reserve things and then go and pick them up from the shop. So I don't know whether they actually even still do a catalogue or whether everyone sort of does the same now. They have these screens when you go in there now, where you kind of like can look things up like a tablet. I think they would be classed like a tablet. So that's a cute one, isn't it? Okay. Right, let's do just a couple more and then we'll call it quits, because this is probably really like watching paint dry, because these are just so much the same, aren't they? So I've got the rest of that little velvet scrap, which weirdly I, you know, didn't seem to use. So I just spotted that. So we'll pop that on here. Ugh, God. That glue is just everywhere. Ugh. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop the video just so that I can go and clean my hands. I mean, the only fiddly bit really with the fabric is literally that first bit, trying to get the fabric over the, or through the paper clip. But I mean, once it's on there, it's not fiddly at all. So it's just probably not something to do when it's quite dark, because I suspect it would be a bit like threading a needle, where you then couldn't really kind of see where you were popping it. I've got that little tiny scrap of lace, and I've just got a flower there. Again, just laying around. I mean, that was the scrap of lace that was left from the piece that I've just made. So let's just, again, use everything from that. And then that's another piece completely gone from my desk. There we go. So that's that piece there. And then this flower, this is one of those white flowers, but I've obviously inked it up previously, you know, put something else and then didn't end up using it. So I'm just going to pop that on there, because that just colour-wise, you know, that goes really nicely. Oops, now I think I've got glue on there. Let me just peel that glue off. Okay. So really sweet, really pretty. So, okay. We'll just do one with this piece, which again, this is some upholstery fabric. So what I'm going to do, just kind of, oh, I was going to tear it, but it doesn't want to tear. So I'll just cut it here. And again, just grab one of those kind of mid-size paper clips, which now I'm out from this little stash. So just digging around beside me. Okay, just cut the width of that down slightly. Okay, thread that on. So hopefully I've done a variety of, you know, sides. So I've got some one way and some the other way. Okay, actually I think oh no. Don't know whether I've got that the right side or the wrong side. Anyway, never mind. So just glue that down like that. You know, and again, I mean, obviously you could ink your fabrics up. You know, you don't have to leave them kind of as they were. You could make them look more grungy and things like that. So lots of possibilities with these. Nope. I'm thinking let's use the rest of that ivory lace, because you know, that would be a whole nother thing gone from my desk. So let's use it here. Like that. Just trim that down. And then I just glue this blue flower on. Like that. So you've just got a tiny bit really of the lace showing, but looks quite sweet, doesn't it? And if you didn't want that bit showing from behind, you can always trim that off. And that kind of makes it look a bit more uniform. Oops, press that down a couple of moments. That's that one. And then I just want to now use this little piece here. So I wonder if we can do another really titchy baby one on one of those tiny paper clips. Oh, they are tiny. They are tiny. Okay. Come on. Nope. See, these are very fiddly for me. So I tend to just use smaller paper clips, just as the clip, rather than decorate them up necessarily, because I do find them very fiddly to use like this. There we go. So I'll just cut that down, glue it there. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue this ivory kind of across the top. Like that. That looks pretty, doesn't it? And then just going to trim that down the side like that. And did I have a bit of pearl trim somewhere? Just got two little pearls, which actually is just ideal because that's a tiny piece, or, you know, tiny paper clip. So just the two is just about right. So we'll pop those on there. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Oh, that looks cute, doesn't it? Okay, so now I'm just going to make one more, obviously, with that other piece of lilac, because then I've used that entire piece of lilac, which, oh, how good is that? An entire piece. You know, I've actually got rid of quite a few, you know, entire pieces of either lace or fabric through this. I mean, clearly, what was I thinking keeping such tiny pieces? But I'm sure that you all know how it is and get where I'm coming from with that. So there we go. Okay. Okay. Now, I'll just see what I've got to be able to put across this one. Or we might have like maybe a flower or something on this one. Tempted to kind of pop the blue one on there just for a bit of contrast. But you see, the thing is with that, I love that and think that looks really pretty. But then what's going to happen is that's going to sit in my stash of ready-made stuff for yonks, because I'm not going to then have an opportunity to actually use it on anything, because it's, you know, it's not going with anything. So I'm better off restraining myself and not getting too carried away using, you know, really way out things, because, you know, effectively then they're just not going to get used at all. I'll just have a quick look in my rummage around in my little bag here. Oh, I don't know if I've really got anything that's going to go quite colour-wise, unless I have black. I've got black lace here. Could do black. I mean, I always love striking, you know, the striking appearance of black, to be honest. It looks really lovely, doesn't it, when you start putting it on things. But again, there's that sort of, you know, element of, am I going to have a project with purple and black? Or am I then going to have a sort of situation where I can't really then use the paperclip? So let's go for the safe option. And we'll just use a bit of ivory ribbon instead. Like that. Actually, I could have done with having that a bit higher, so it just covers up all of the top of that lace. That's just more pleasing to the eye, I think, like that. And then just get a bit of trim. You know, bling is what I mean by trim. And just pop that. Oh no, not that. It's not that. Oh, that didn't look right at all, did it? Okay, let's go for some pearls. The neutral pearls, which will hopefully look better. Oh yeah, they look better. Straight away they look better. So just do a little row of 3. Okay, just pop those down. Okie dokie. There we go. So let me move my stuff out of the way and let's pull in the paper clips that we've made in this episode. So how many have we done? We've got 1, 2, 3. Let me put down a, I'll put down some book page, I think. So, no, I won't. I'll put down some sheet music because otherwise the book page is pretty tiny. So let's put this down so it looks pretty when we're placing the clips down. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yay, that's a record, isn't it? That's the most things that I've made, certainly, in these mass bakes. So that was really great. So I hope that you like them. I hope that you managed to make some yourself, and you know that you're pleased with your ones that you have made. Hopefully you'll join me next week. I haven't decided quite what we're going to do next week as yet, whether it will be fabric or paper. Yeah, I haven't quite decided. So obviously at the beginning of the video, I will tell you the materials that you will need for the video. So I hope you'll join me then, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks then. Bye.